So I'm an assistant professor of teaching in the Department of Language and Literacy Education. I'm a former K-12 teacher, so very passionate about that area, in particular teacher education. And my role currently, my educational leadership role, is to be the cohort advisor of the online MEd and literacy education program. And we have students from across the country in this program, so LLED extends beyond our campus. So it's really interesting that the story would have to go back to when I was a K-12 educator and I was teaching in a 5-6 classroom. And these kids were from multiple environments, as in from different countries, moving in refugee and also Canadian-born English language learners. But what I found in that classroom was kids were not reading. Kids were reading at multiple levels from K to 8, and that really pivoted to research interests around supporting English language learners. But one of the things that I found when I was teaching in that classroom was this idea of technology being very supportive of their learning. So I got really interested in that. And also, when I think back to my own youth, the digital age was beginning. So I had already had lots of interaction in online spaces. So I was really interested in sort of looking at that area. But it was actually during my graduate program here in the Masters of Education program that I read an article by Dr. Eva Lam that really pinpointed an area that interested me most. Was she really recognized the voices of the learners in these digital informal learning spaces. And that's part of what I wanted to do, was to go back and do this type of work. And in terms of the research methodology, I think K-12 ethnography would be an area that I'm very interested in, because I can document the experiences of my participants and their unique social contexts. I think as I have gone through the COVID-19 pandemic, and many of us have, I've sort of seen the increased need of digital technologies to support ELL learners, or English language learners. And more specifically, I've sort of noted that there is a lack of research in that area in terms of K-12 and English language learners, and supporting these learners and their teachers to do this type of pedagogy and work. So that's why I think, if anything, the pivotal moment would have been probably the COVID-19 pandemic. So I think certainly as I've begun to do research, I've been looking at in-person online spaces in different ways. I'm now going to be doing some work in maker spaces, and more specifically looking at pedagogical recommendations for teachers, because what I know from my K-12 experiences and also in the literature is there's a gap in that area in terms of how to support our English language learners. And however, maker spaces are a really great interactional space to develop language, right, in context. So I think that will be something that's interesting. I'm also quite involved with Emerging Media Lab, and so that has really sort of changed my view of emerging technologies. So I'd really be interested in looking at extended reality, virtual reality, and also my upcoming project was just looking at AI and reading assessment prototype that we're developing currently to support teachers in rural and remote locations, where they'll have an opportunity to use a program that will be created in AI to support reading assessments. I'm also really interested in arts-based research. So some of the work that I've been doing outside, I'm part of a transdisciplinary group of scholars. So there's 4 of us that have started. One's in health, two of us are also in education. So it's 3 of us in education, but in very different sectors of research. So we've been really looking at something called collaborative creative inquiry, which is a way of a research method looking at art space more specifically. And that has been really fun to sort of work with people that are not necessarily in education and new perspectives. I also think that it's been really nice to have conversations outside of my own discipline, right? So I think that it's really neat, especially when I think about the work at the Emerging Media Lab that I've been doing, to have conversations with faculty members that are not in education and sort of hear about the trends in technology and what's going on in those directions, because there are overlaps, but also areas where I'm learning and deepening my understanding a little bit more about. So hopefully in the future, I'll have some opportunities to do some more like interdisciplinary work and so forth. But in terms of the online MEd and literacy education program, I hope that the research that I do will sort of help with that type of work, especially as we develop the program more and welcome further cohorts into the program.